Seated cable rows. We've got a bunch of options with our cable row that change ever so slightly how we hit your back. And it's mainly to do with the angle at which the arms draw their way back, whether we basically go high and wide or kind of low and tight. You'll feel it as you get better at back training itself, that it shifts this focus from a bit higher up the back to kind of lower down the lat as this arm position changes. And that's why you'll see these different attachment types just kind of down here. We've got narrower grips, wider grips, and sort of a medium grip on this. We'll start with the medium grip and have a quick look. So, the feet obviously sit their way up there. The first thing we have to do is sit back with the weight, so I have now got this, so it doesn't just rest on there. The primary thing for most beginners and people to master to start with is that I don't want the spine to move. It's going to stay nice, long, tall, and straight throughout. And then we're going to get a retraction of the shoulder blades and of the arm itself, not a rounding or a kind of leaning back. We're not treating this as spinal flexion and extension. We're treating it as scapular retraction and pulling the humerus backwards. That's the focus of this to begin with. As people get a little more advanced, we can let them round just a little bit to get a bit more of a stretch in the back and then really retract and pull. That gives us a slightly bigger range of movement, but I really don't like that when you're first learning this movement. I think it's good to dissociate movement of your spine from movement of the arm and the shoulder blade. So to begin with, we lock the spine in a position, we retract, and we squeeze. Whenever we're thinking of pulling this back, we're still thinking of this cable's line of force coming in a straight line back. So it shouldn't start heading kind of upwards or pulling into what looks like an awkward position as we retract through that. It's from here. I'm also thinking about pulling with the elbow backwards. You'll see a lot of people start almost trying to use their arm a bit too much and curling that weight in towards them. Our focus is not the biceps in this. It's not the elbow flexors. It's the back. So we want to initiate and squeeze with that back. You'll see a lot of people use the narrower grip on the seated row. I actually like this one the least of all of them. And the simple reason for it is it gives us a shorter range of movement. If I set up in this position, you'll see compared to the other one, this whacks into me. My arms can actually get further back. I can try and get a deeper squeeze, but I'm sort of stuck because the weight hits me in the chest before I get there. And it sort of encourages a bit more of the arm work than when we're slightly wider and able to pull out into this position. Here versus here, right? I get more of a retraction and control there. Finally then, for these seated rows, we've got the wider position on this. I still like the D handles. You can, if you don't have one of these, use like a straight bar. You can buy your own handles and attach them onto the straight bar and use that to pull back. That way it allows you to sort of adjust for the width of the grip that feels right to you, because we all have different arm spans, right? The length of my humerus is going to dictate to some extent where's the widest I need to go. If my humerus is this long to the elbow, I can basically go that wide on my retraction to some degree. I could go wider, but it's harder and harder to actually pull in that position. So that 90 degree at the back position is roughly as wide as you want to go. If I've got a shorter humerus, well, I don't need to be out that wide. I might want to be this wide for the same thing. So we can vary it. You can even find different attachment types for bars that will go through that. But for this one, D handle, this is about as wide as I can go with this thing. I sit back in a position, I squeeze and retract. One of the best things you'll ever do on your back training is pause. So when we get here, it's squeeze, hold that shape, and then let it come back and control through, stretch through the scaps, back and squeeze. And then the same thing again. And that's the essential parts of the seated row on a cable and the various handle types that you're likely to come across.